Hello everyone, this is Daniel, and basically I'm going to be teaching you about how come, the reason why teenagers are, you know, basically rebellious and they don't care about life, and they really care about themselves, and they are suicidal, they are pressured by peers, and all that jazz. I don't know what to say. Basically, teenagers, let's let's go back to the childhood. There are two really major sponge growths in the brain. Two times that the brain grows like a sponge. During childhood, early childhood, and then the bigger one for this world is, you know, youthful teen or adolescence. And basically, the child learns about the world. It learns about the holy aspects of God. That child at a very young age learns about all these cool things about the earth, and they're innocent as well as being a sponge, and basically they you know learn at a very young age about like they learn like sponges. But that doesn't say that us teenage like adolescents, no, they also learn like sponges. There's also a break in between, but really they really grow. The brain grows really fast. So yeah, these adolescents, 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 13-year-olds, whatever the case is, they learn like sponges. And the wisdom of the world is the greatest at like the adolescent year is way the greatest. It is beyond the greatest learning of the world that they learn of the world the beyond the greatest when they're adolescent. So basically, they become adulthood. The devil enters their lives, and it's not really because they were not taught right, but the whole world teaches them wrong when they're teenagers. It's like the Lord told people not to teach the children wrong at a very young age, because when they do that, when they put sin into a young child's life, they become very messed up. They become sociopaths. And some of them are born sociopaths, and some of them become them. So basically, to make a child born with sin, to make a child as if they were born with sin, that's kind of messed up. Well, that's a serious sin that Jesus said, I'd rather have someone put a millstone around their neck and drown them in the sea, because they might put a child into great sin. That's what he said. And, and then the devil gets a hand of the adolescent, and they mess them up. But that's only the worldly aspect. That's not the innocent aspect. If there's no innocence in the person, then God will have to correct them in a huge way that was never done before. Okay, so here's the important part. When it comes to teenagers, especially young kids, they're forced to hear really rebellious music from Hollywood and that Hollywood music is basically a satanic thing. Satanism is involved, and that gets the teenagers rebellious. So so what was what must we do about that? So what must we do about that? Well, God says there's not much we can do, but you put thoughts of, you know, not putting technology around them, because that might be giving them ideas, but also do something about that kind of thing happening. So to make them really avoid this delusional internet sin kind of thing with the rebellious stuff around these people that to make them stop becoming rebellious and stop the start of rebellion. When they start to grow a little more, which is kind of interesting, make sure that make sure they become slaves. Yeah, force them into labor that cannot be explained. The parents cannot explain why they're in labor like that. Like, do forceful chores. I mean, make them blow the snowblower. Make them force them to use a snowblower, and actually, no, not that. God is saying otherwise. So there shouldn't be no snowblower unless it's otherwise better for them. For any kind of driveway, they should use the shovel. If they get cold, put them inside and then let them do the driveway again. Make sure they use the shovel in the snow. Then make them do it again. Make them work. Make them do volunteer. Make them do volunteer jobs. Make sure that the volunteer job is very tough. Yeah. That would work. And also, basically, if there's anything involving peers, force them away from it. Also, make sure that they do a volunteer job in a factory. And not in a easy factory, but more like a harsh to work in a factory that is suitable for them. That's for the 14-year-olds. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And volunteer work, I mean, do lawnmower in big lawns. I mean, make sure that they make the lawnmower go on a huge field. Have them say, oh, how about that child do? Or the adolescent child do this kind of lawnmower work because they're age appropriate, and do it on a baseball field, football field. And I know that will get a lot of strange faces, but that kind of slave labor will actually work. Anything that is not too stressful for them, get them into slave labor, and tell them this is the work of a servant. This is the work of a slave of God, because we are slaves of one master or the other. We're either the slaves of money, the devil, anything in the world, or we're the slaves of God. Yeah, we're pretty much slaves of God. Slaves of God if we're doing the right thing with God. And we ought to be slaves of Jesus. So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to. You can force them into safe hand. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah. Make sure that they're in wood cutting, carving the wood. They can make their own cross with the right wood. Nail the wood and make it a cross. Make sure that they don't get into electrical stuff. I mean, unless it's a lawnmower, it's good enough. And yeah, I mean, use a hammer and a nail and make sure that they make a cross. Make sure it's not crooked. Make them do the math because they can. And make sure that they have 7-inch plywood, 6 inches to spare, and have 3 inches on either side, and have 3 inches on the other side for the other wood block. And have 7 inches on the bottom part, and also have 2 inches on the. I don't know, like. Yeah, you can do 2.5 inches on the top part, 2.4, but 2.5. As a father, you can do the wood cutting, and as a child, they can do the measuring and the nailing, and they can say, okay, you fit the nails in the cross. That's pretty much nailing the cross together, and you just got yourself a free cross from wood pieces that are like wood beams that are, basically as cheap as they can get, like from a long piece of wood, like I don't know, like small piece of wood that is like $10. You can make a cross that is out of $1 piece of wood. Oh boy. And you can just say, that child created the cross. And now, let's go to the mental state. I mean, if he's not going to peer company, if he's not going near the peers, I mean, that's when the devil takes a hold of the children. I mean, make sure that they're not even close to radios. Don't have, like, I mean, maybe you shouldn't even put the radio on in your car. Put the children in the back. I mean, make sure that the car doesn't have a radio in the back. And also, yeah, I mean, make sure the car doesn't even have television in the back. Also, and make sure that the teenager's not even going near Hollywood. I mean, make sure that you get a you can even get a farm for the adolescent. Yeah, you can even get a farm, and they can be forced to clean up after the farm. They can be forced to clean up after the animals, the mess they make. And you can tell the adolescent and teenager to take care of the animals. And if any of them get sick, there's always a vet. But you can always get the education from another farmer and have them see what they can do, and then you can take care of the animal, or you can sorry have the teenager take care of the animal, and basically if the animal has to take a pill or anything like that, have the teenager literally have the teenager just kind of put the animal in a position where it can't move as much, but it's not hurting the animal. Basically, put the animal in the position where have the adolescent put the animal in the position where, and if you can't even trust the adolescent, then you can do that, and they can give the pill. Also, always make sure that the teenager is in jail, is in church. Make sure that the teenager is always in church, and have the adolescent get taught by the Bible. Make sure he has his personal Bible. But if he starts to read it a lot, keep an eye on him. If he starts to read the Bible a lot, and this is his first time, and he's literally reading, like, if he's literally reading the Bible once every hour, and he always reads the Bible, and he's trying to read the Bible and trying to get information, that's kind of scary because once he gets a certain amount of information, and he wants to read the Bible the way he wants to read it, that will make him atheist, and that will mess his future up completely. So, if you see him reading the Bible a whole bunch, that's not a good sign. So, just say that if you want to, just say to your child, "Do you want to get information?" And they said, "Yes, I want to get the truth out of the Bible and see if it really is a true thing, and then read the parts of the Bible that will save the most people, and then basically read Romans, read human behavior, and try to help them out in the Bible." I mean, I know a whole bunch of you are lost people. You're trying to find the truth. You're depressed. You're lonely, and some of you are even on drugs. But know this: that in the end, this will make a lot of sense. So, if you can't get help there, if you don't know what to do, go to a professional preacher, and he'll pretty much teach the word. And if he doesn't get the actual truth, then go somewhere else, and yeah, just go to a Bible, not a Bible scholar. No, that wouldn't work. Go to a. How much time do I have left? Oh, good. Go to a person that really knows how to save people. Call the person and say, "I really need this person saved," and he will come and save the person by reading the Bible to him or her. I mean, and just say that this teenager needs to be a slave. It's a slave of God. I mean, we're all slaves of something. We are. But yet we are all free. God even said to me, it would be better if a teenager was a slave. So, literally, guys, literally, The short answer is that teenager needs to be a slave doing something. But the long answer is what I said before. So, okay, I'll be done now, okay? Sorry if it was burped. Anyway, do keep in mind that, being a slave of someone and basically helping a teenager is pretty much the same thing as, a teenager being a slave of something. I mean, tell them that they're actually slaves. These teenagers are slaves of something, and they desperately need God's help. They need the help from the Father, and of course, these teenagers have been directly affected by their master and their slave work, and everything that they have done has been under the rule of their slave work. And later on, after they've noticed that they've been servants. They may just thank you, because being a slave of something and teaching them that they're just slaves of something, that's something that God told me that, and I know it's interesting, but we're all slaves, yet we're all free. So, think about it, okay? Think about what that means to be a slave, and that they're not on top of the world. I mean, Logan Paul thought he was on top of the world, and he just trashed everything in Japan. He really did. So think about it. Would you rather be a slave and be humble and be a servant, or would you rather be having fun and trashing the Japanese cultures like Logan Paul did, and trashing other cultures? Think about it, okay? Okay. I'll be done now, okay?